I'm back again. So today I'm going to make a video showing you guys how to prepare your site survey. In my last video, I kind of went over how like all the stuff you need before you go out on a flight, and I included a site survey, but this video will just go into a bit more detail about how to get the information on here, because at least for me it was very confusing when I first started. So let's have a look at this. Okay, so let's start off with the Transportation Canada requirements for a site survey. So they're here, 901.27. So A, boundaries of the area of operation. That's pretty self-explanatory. I usually just use Google Earth. I'll usually find the spot where I'm going. So for this example, we're gonna go fly up here in this kind of area. So I would just take a screenshot of this. Let's go back. So that's boundaries. Let's say B, so the type of airspace and application regulatory requirements. So for this, I like to use, it's called Canadian Airspace Viewer. I'll link all of these links in the description. So here, basically, it shows you all of the different classes of airspace. So let's go into Calgary. So it looks like quite crowded, so you can turn them all on and off. So obviously when they're all off, there's nothing. So let's find like roughly where we're going. We're going up to Royal Vista. We're around here. We're going around here, roughly. So B, you don't have to worry about because that is 12,500 feet and above, so you're not going to be flying up there. C, we do worry about, and same with D, E, and F. So basically when you're out, you kind of see different tiers, and they basically all get higher. So this starts surface to 3,000 feet above ground level. Then we go up to Class C, 4,800 feet to 5,500 feet, and then again 5,500 to 8,000, and then 8,000 up to 12,500. So let's start. So we're roughly here. We're not in Class C surface because for basic you wouldn't be allowed to fly in here. This is Calgary's control zone, but we're kind of just out here. And so Class C, 4,800 feet to 5,500 feet. So you just want to note that. So you're in uncontrolled airspace below that, but after 4,800 feet, you're Class C airspace. So that's very important to just know and write that down in your site survey. So then let's go back. Altitudes and routes. This is pretty self-explanatory, and it's basically just how high you're going to go and roughly where you're going to go. And I would say what I first showed you back on Google Earth, like that's enough to kind of cover this. Proximity to manned aircrafts and proximity to aerodromes, airports, and heliports. These two are kind of intertwined, and so I like to use Narcan drone site selection tool for this. So I just have it here, and let's just zoom in a bit to Calgary. So this tool is super handy for knowing kind of all the aerodromes and airports and heliports. You can set over here if you want micro drone, basic, or advanced. For this, we're just going to do basic, but if you turn to advanced, see these turn to orange because you were allowed to fly in aerodromes and controlled airspace as long as you get permission, but this we're just going to stick with basic. So we are, let me just close this, flying roughly up here. So we're not in any aerodrome, which is good, but we do need to make sure we know which ones are close by. So we have a control zone right here. You can click on it and it will kind of give you the details of it. So Calgary just has a big control zone around it. So that's not really what they mean by proximity to manned aircraft operations. What they mean is these kind of circles. So we have a heliport. It's a Calgary Bow Crow heliport. You can get the airport code here and the operator. And so you need to write this down in your site survey. And then also I like to use SkyVector, so let's go on to that. For this, so it will tell you it's a certified aerodrome, in this case it's a heliport. And down here it tells you the aerodrome operator, and it gives you that phone number there. So those are really important. You need that in your emergency contacts. Now, when I was first making this, I was getting confused as to how far away I should note. Like, should I note this one, the airport, YYC airport? Or should I go all the way down here and note this, because we're still not that far away? And so what I learned is the best way is think about roughly how far could your drone get if it was flying away uncontrollably, and go till about there. And keep in mind, drones these days can move quite fast, so I would say you're better safe on the safer side and just include ones that you think might be. So in this case, I would include the Springbank Airport. I would include these two, and I would probably say that's good. Now, it also wants to know the distance to them, and we're flying from Royal Vista, so let me just put it in there. So I could go, now another thing I was wondering is the measurement from the side of the airport or aerodrome radius or the middle, and it is the middle. So I would measure that. Here it says it's about 5,200 meters, so I'd mark that. I do that again for this one, about 9,000 meters, and again for this one. So roughly in the middle. It doesn't have to be super exact, but as close as you can. And so just make sure you have all of those names written down in your kind of nearest aerodrome section. And then in your emergency contacts, make sure you get all of the numbers for each of these from these CFS sheets. And SkyVector is great for that. It always has all of the ones you want. And yeah, so let's move on. Next is the location and height of obstacles, including wires, masts, buildings, cell phone towers, and wind turbines. So this is something, in my opinion, you really have to do when you get there. It's very hard on Google Earth or on like maps to tell what hazards will be around. So I usually just leave this in my site form as complete on site, and I put it in brackets and I highlight it so I don't forget, and I just do that when I get there. And then the predominant weather and environmental conditions. So there's lots of ways you can check it. Like this could include checking your METARs and like airspace forecast. But for drones, I really like to use UAV Forecast, which is this. So they have a desktop version. They also have an app that you can get on your phone, which I find super useful. It is free, but you only get up to 3 hours of forecasts. Otherwise it is quite cheap. Like it's $1.40 a month, so it's not too bad at all, and it will tell you everything you need to know: wind, gusts, precipitation, visibility, KP, which that has to do with solar flares, and it definitely messes with your GPS if that is too high. And it will also just tell you generally if it's good to fly or not. And on the app and on the desktop here, you can specify what your maximum is, like maximum wind that your drone can take according to the drone standards. So I would just recommend doing that. I would get the app, and then I always just check it before I leave my house when I'm gonna go fly, and then when I get there again, just to make sure that you're good. So let's go back then. The last thing is the horizontal distance from persons not involved in the operation. So with a basic license, you have to stay at least 30 meters or 100 feet away from other people, or like bystanders not involved in your flight. So you got to make sure that you're a good amount away. And now this does change if you get your advanced license, but today we're just considering you're doing your basic. So that's about it for site surveys, and I hope this helped. I'll link all of the websites that I used in the description. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful, and I'll be back again soon with another video. See you.